Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. No matter what time of day it is that you're receiving this message, I want to take the opportunity to welcome you to the Sunday service made possible by the Cult of Khan. Thank you for being here. I normally open up these Sunday services with a prayer. I think that's probably like the most appropriate way to do things, since Sunday service is supposed to be about giving some portion of my time over to the Lord, since life tends to be distracting and full of things that take away our energy and our attention. And I would very much love to just open in prayer like I usually do, but I just don't feel it today. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm slave to God, right? Faith and Christianity seems to always be about feelings and emotions and I get that. I get that it's spiritual and interesting and there's some elements to it that are really, exciting at times and tears of joy and all these other things. It's very emotional. It's a very emotional journey. But I'm a very logical, practical person. And so I'm not just going to sit here and say that because feelings sometimes don't go the way you want them to, like sometimes you want your day to be positive or happy, and it's not that. I'm not fickle. I can't just be like, well, God's not real because I'm having a bad day, right? Reality doesn't change just because we don't feel it. So, I'm only here because this is an obligation, not just to the community, but to also God, who I made this commitment to in the first place, primarily. I said, I'm going to get up in the morning and have a reason to exist on Sunday. Even if I can't control what happens every other day of the week, at least Sunday morning I can say, hey, I'm doing it. I'm here, right? And anyway, today is just not my day. I'm just being honest. If you're looking for an emotional or an encouraging message, like I said, I recommend that you go check out Season 1, Episode 6, which is called Perseverance. And I think that on a day like today, that's the kind of message that I would need. That's like the kind of message I need to hear. And I was up at 2 or 3 in the morning trying to listen to it, trying to psych myself out of this and just be like, oh, okay, it's all good, man. It's fine. Just listen to a message of perseverance. But sometimes we have days where we don't want to hear positive messages. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes we have days like that, and this is one of those days for me. Where people say things that are true, and they're encouraging, and they're right, but you just don't want to listen. Sometimes it just feels like you want to just be allowed to be upset, irritated, frustrated, whatever it is. And I know it isn't right to sulk or to be angry or whatever, but it's part of being a person, I guess. So anyway, I'm not here to try to ruin everybody's day or be super negative. I just feel like sometimes we just have to be honest. And today it was like, I don't know, I didn't even want to be here, honestly. I didn't even want to come out here. And that's different for me, because I've had days where outside circumstances made me feel like it wasn't worth the effort to come here and do this. But I found a reason to get up anyway, and put together something that was to try to encourage people, because it's like when things aren't going good, at least you can try to do good things for other people, and sometimes that can get you out of the rut, right? But again, this is not about that. It's just that I've been feeling a lot lately like I just can't win, And again, this goes back to kind of the logic thing, where as a practical, logical person, I can't deny that God exists or that God created the world. I know that God is real. I know that he's doing things that I can't understand, and part of it is that I have this frustration with my position in all of this, that I don't get to know what's going on. I just kind of have to be along for the ride. It's really not the kind of personality that I have, to just sit back. And I'm an are we there yet kind of person, I need to see the map telling me how many more minutes I have until we arrive at the destination. I don't like waiting. I don't like living on prayers. I'm not a hopeful person. I'm a logical person. And I think that my faith has always kind of been that way, that I follow the Lord because I know I have to, not because it's fun or because I like it or because it's exciting. And my walk with the Lord's been nothing but a challenge. I haven't had a good, wonderful, righteous, I came to the Lord and all my diseases went away. And I know that's some people's testimony, and for them, I'm glad. But I'm now about 7 years into this journey, I guess you could say. I think around 2018 was kind of like the wake-up call for my life, that I needed to live for different, higher reasons. But the unfortunate thing about it is I'm to this point where I just kind of feel like I don't even know what the point is anymore. Not life in general, but just, you try for things and you don't succeed, and people say, if you don't succeed, you try again, and it's yeah, I get that, but at what point does the reward kind of lose its luster to where it's no longer worth the price you have to pay to get there? You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about eternity, I'm talking about everything, right? Sometimes you set yourself goals and aspirations that should be attainable, and you do everything that you can, and it still doesn't work. And then you find yourself in these positions where you're like, God, I'm out of options. The whole idea being that when you're out on a limb and you have nothing, then you lean on God, right? And you say, God, I can't do this. I need you. You are the only way I'm going to get through this. You're the only way I'm going to get past this situation. And sometimes you're in that situation and you give it to God and he still leaves you there. And for whatever greater cosmic reason there is, I'm sure there is, but I don't like it. I've spent years of my life trying to fix the mistakes of my past, trying to atone for my bad decisions, the people I hurt, trying to live a better life, trying to actively put positivity out into the world to replace all the negativity and all the bad things I've done. And sometimes it just feels like it doesn't matter, that no matter what you do, you're just cursed to be along for the ride. That's kind of how I feel today. I didn't come here to deliver some positive message. And yeah, I know that's not always what I do here. I try to deliver a positive message, but today I just don't have any in me. What are you supposed to do when you have no other options and you give it up to God and he still doesn't come through for you? As a logical person, I can understand the idea of trusting God, that he has something bigger planned that you can't understand. But the way my personality works is that I think about it okay, so I'll get really upset by how rough this whole thing is. And then it turns out, it's a surprise party all along and everyone's here and it's such a good thing. And it's just really? I'm supposed to just turn around and be happy now that even though it was miserable, but you've been given something different you didn't expect. That's not how I work, dude. I'm already too mad about everything going sideways to enjoy a surprise party. I don't want everyone shouting in my face that they're happy to see me. I'm mad. I don't want a surprise party. And as far as it goes with the Lord's plans for my life and stuff, I don't want to go through hell just to get some reward at the end. See, you made it. I don't think like that, dude. I like results. And the God that I know is this God who would vaporize these heathen priests who mock him. That's who he is. And yet I ask for simple, tiny, meaningless things. Meaningless to everyone but me. And it's as though I ask for nothing at all. I understand the struggle here. It's as an atheist or as an agnostic, all of the logic is on your side that this is BS. All you have is cosmic expectations and a bunch of magical things you can't understand. And then you try your best, but it's not good enough. Because it's not an exchange rate. It's not about the world that we're taught where you put in this many hours to get this much money. God is a mystery. What he does is a mystery. I can see why people embrace the churchianity type thing, because it's just more fun to play pretend like everything is okay and easy and chill. I don't know. Today's just not my day, and I was really teetering on the whole idea of just what is the point of this at large, right? You know, if weeks at a time or months at a time, you try to put in the work and you get 100 views or whatever, you know. Like, the channel is going backwards, right? It's hard to feel like let's be realistic. Sunday service used to get like 400 and 500 views, and now it gets like 200 views. So either something's getting worse or I'm getting worse or what. You know what I mean? It's like, think about it, right? You ever had a business you were trying to run and you put all your effort into it and you could see the writing on the wall, like, oh, it's failing. We're getting farther and farther behind every month. We're not going to be able to make it to the end of the lease. It feels like that, right? Like, it would take something miraculous for your life to turn around from the direction that it's going. Anyway, I just see this kind of as a moot point for me, like that I do things for the right reasons, secretly hoping that maybe in the long run something good will come of it. And what I find is that I've actually just like expensed myself to the end, and nothing good has come of it. You know, like, for years I was chasing after getting this dream car. I finally got it, you know. I got a special deal. Like, it was going to be so good, I thought. And I've spent, you know, several weeks covered in oil, completely filthy, laying in the driveway, sunburned beyond belief. I mean, I've worked so hard. I put in hundreds of hours, and you know, I tried to put it back together, and it just exploded in my face. And that was kind of the thing that kind of triggered me yesterday. Was just like, dude, wow, all that work, and it means nothing. And, you know, you put it all back together, and you just say a prayer, God, I've done everything I can do. There is nothing else in me to correct the course of this situation or that situation. I got to give it to you, God. And you give it to God kind of with like this idea that, good, as soon as it's out of my hands, it'll work out. And then it doesn't. And it just leaves you wondering, like, what does God want from you then? If having your heart turned over and your reasons turned over, if everything about what you do is different and it still doesn't change the outcome, what's the point? You know, it's far more costly to try to be righteous, to try to be good, to try to be positive, to try to seek the kingdom and his righteousness. Everyone else in the world thinks it's okay to seek money and selfishness. The outcome is effectively the same. Yeah, we can talk about mystical stuff like eternity, but it doesn't really change anything. You're all going to die eventually, and you'll get what you get when you get there, I guess. I don't know. It's really hard for me to be positive because I don't see a proper way to do things, you know? Like, if there was a right way to do it that you could be instructed in and then things worked out, it would be easy to convince people, right? You could say, if you just do this, if you just live your life this way, then, you know, if X, then Y, you know? I just don't feel like that. That's not how God works. The Lord works in mysterious ways, and I'm not a mysterious person. I like things to be mathematical and logistic. I don't want to deal with all the inconsistencies or the mysteries. I don't want to be wondering, not knowing what I'm supposed to be doing or how I'm supposed to spend my time and energy, because no matter how I spend it, it always ends the same. You know? Anyway, it's just, I feel like I could just sit here and ramble for like half an hour or an hour about nothing and just kind of be negative all morning. And that's kind of, I guess, the alternative to, like, I was about to just nuke the channel because it's just like, what's the point? You know, a lot of people will tell you, oh, like, we love your show, we love this and that and the other thing. But it's like, dude, I'm smart enough to know that you cannot have a Jesus cult and be allowed to proliferate on social media. Everything I believe in, everything I know is right, goes completely against the entire society. It goes against YouTube. It's just not happening, dude. Like, for me, if it was like, what is the dream life? What does it really look like? I'd like to be able to take the real message, the first season or two of this show, and amplify it and really preach the truth. Like, go far and wide, go be a public speaker, travel from place to place, talk about the stuff that I know is true. Not because it's fun, but because it's true, right? I'm not here because I'm happy or sad anytime. It's not based on my feelings. It's based on an understanding that this is the reality of the world we live in. God made us all. He made us all for a reason. He put us here on purpose. I'm still trying to figure out what that reason is, what that purpose is. And I've given up on so many things that I wanted to do in my life. In the last few years, I've made so many conscious decisions to do the righteous thing instead of what I wanted to do, not because I'm expecting a reward, but because it's promised. I didn't say, oh, it would be nice if I do this, then God will give me stuff. Like, that's not how I think, but he's the one that wrote it that way. God is the one that says, if you come this way and you do this thing, I'll give you what you need. I'll give you what you want. If you ask anything, I'll go to the Father. You can have it, anything. You can do anything. And I test that a lot, and it doesn't work. So what do you tell people? I believe in God. I'm cursed. There's no going back, dude. There's no going back to the world of like, I don't care about spiritual stuff. I'm just going to do what I want to do. I can't. So now I'm trapped here. And I don't think that there's any way to convince anybody that it's the right place to be. It almost seems superficial. Like you want to tell people this is the truth, but then how do you justify it? It's almost better to just leave people alone. They're blissful in their ignorance. Because if they find a career that's fitting, they find a family worth raising, they get a truck worth driving, that's good for them. They're content. Contentment can come for people who look at small things and think they're good and worth it and whatever. If you feel that way, then good. But now that I know all this stuff about the spiritual reality, I look for things that are bigger and higher. I want victory because I'm supposed to be on the side of victory, right? And then when you're defeated by like menial, stupid stuff, it just seems kind of dumb. Like, how do you convince anybody that this is the right path when all it does is cost you everything? I don't know, man. Again, I know this is a break from the actual purpose that I come here on Sunday. Like, I don't even know what service this is to. Service to me, I guess, because I'm just having a bad day. I don't know. I probably won't even leave this stream on the channel. Because to me, it's just embarrassing. You come out here and rant about nothing for half an hour and then just go away. It's just, I was sitting here and the clock was ticking and I was like, dude, Sunday service is like half an hour, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. And I'm like, if I don't go out here, then YouTube's going to punish me algorithmically. And then I'll have 100 views next week instead of 2. And it just kind of seems like, it's dwindling. Like you keep putting out the effort and you're actually getting farther and farther behind. Like, I spend so much time and energy on this channel. It sucks so much of my life outside of, I've got a job. I got a roof that's leaking that still hasn't been fixed. And, like, luckily it's hot outside, so it's not leaking right now. But just, I often choose to do stuff like this. Get up on Sunday morning. For a year, I didn't even have a weekend. I only got Sunday off. And so I'd have one day off, and I would get up in the morning and come do this. And I just kind of felt like, if I just keep showing up, God will take care of me. So the stuff that I leave behind in pursuit of this, he'll sort it out for me. But that's not what happens, dude. Maybe that's your story, but that's not mine. For whatever reason, God just expects me to do everything. And I don't receive anything out of it. I'm not trying to be ungrateful. I'm not trying to be negative. It just feels like sometimes I might be maybe doing the wrong thing. It's like you can do a good thing, but it might not be the right thing. I always say that. Miles Monroe was really big on that. I sometimes think like maybe I am doing a good thing that isn't the right thing. That's why it doesn't fix anything. I spent all of my young life not caring about medieval material stuff. I don't know why I said medieval. Not caring about material stuff, right? I just never cared about getting rich or having a house or whatever. And then I got older and it was like, well, dude, you got to pay for something and you got to drive something to work. And so I started to allow myself to think that, hey, it's different now. I'm a member of this victory-based kingdom. Like, I should be able to just have a little something. Because God is good and he knows what you need and he wants to bless you and this, that, and the other thing. And then I ask and I'm like, can I just have a little thing for me? It doesn't need to prove everybody that I'm so cool. I don't need to change the world. I don't need to be rich. I'm not asking for mountains to move. I'm just asking for the valve cover to seal, After I spend 8 hours in the sun, I just want the car to run, But I guess not. And then I'm in this mindset, which I'm sure you guys have been to, where it's just like you don't want to hear any advice. You know, you don't want to hear everybody say, "Oh, it's part of the thing. You just need to learn perseverance. You need to build more character." And it's like, dude, coming up on a third of my life now. And I'm not trying to be it's not a this or that kind of thing, but dude, it's like, yeah, I lived a lot of rebellion, but when you're 10 years old, it doesn't count. You can't be a little kid and expected to know adult concepts and walk, And then as a teenager, you're still an idiot. So really, I mean, if I were to judge myself realistically, most of my adult life has been spent trying to do the right thing, trying to seek the Lord, trying to put out the truth and to do positive things and contribute to this whole kingdom. And a lot of times it just feels like I'm just wasting my energy. That's how I feel. It's like I work really hard, get this dream car, it's sitting in the driveway, and what I have is a 4,500-pound brick leaking oil everywhere. It's not a car. It's a liability. I remember I always said this when I was praying for it. I bought this car and I shipped it over here, and it was this whole big thing, right? I wanted it to be like a cool announcement. Guys, I did it. The Lord delivers. I worked so hard and I did everything I could, and I left it up to the Lord, and He delivers. And I just remember this thing where it's like, does a father, you ask your father for bread, does he give you a stone or a snake, And I was praying for this, and I was like, God, let this be bread. Let this be fish. Don't let this be a stone. Don't let this be a snake. And it seems like every time I reach my hand out and say, God, can I have bread? I get bit by a freaking snake, dude. Anyway, I just get to the point where I don't know what I'm doing anymore, man. There's a lot of people like playing churchianity that have a way better life than me, They're going around and speaking. Their voice is amplified. They get 500K views. They get a salary from their church. They get to drive the car they want to drive. They get to travel around and wear suits and stuff. They get to be important, They get to have like a purpose for their life that makes sense. I don't even know what I'm doing here. And I know it's like, oh, there's more to learn. There's more to learn. I would like to learn some of the other lessons than defeat and poverty. It seems like at some point you get in so much of the same trouble that you wonder if there's ever going to be a different life for you. You wonder if you're ever going to see anything other than the same life lessons. Like, I know what it's like to be poor, man. I know what it's like to not have my prayers answered. When am I going to learn other lessons about what happens when my prayers are answered? Be careful what you pray for, be careful what you spend your money on. It's like, I don't know rich people lessons. I don't know success lessons. I only know defeat. And it's just annoying, man. And I'm like the kind of person who I really do care about everybody. I really do want to see the best for everybody. So, the clock is ticking. It's time. Sunday service, what are you going to do? Are you going to post and tell everyone, sorry, no service this morning? Are you going to make something up about, well, it's a family emergency or something? Like, I don't know. I just think about how many people count on the positive messages, and then what do? People need you. And then you don't have any way to do anything for them, It's like, it's just gotten to the point where I feel like I'm kind of out of mojo, you know what I mean? Kind of out of juice. I was considering doing like a channel hiatus, like indefinite channel hiatus, but I know that means I'll never come back. I know how it goes. That's kind of disappointing, but it is reality. You stop doing it, you'll fade into obscurity even more. You won't have the mojo, you won't be motivated, and the channel just disappears into the void. And I know nobody wants that. I don't want that. But I just kind of feel like I don't have any energy to continue. And I just feel like I kind of like hit my final straw yesterday. And I spent my whole day trying to get that car working, doing something I've done already many times. And even in the worst case scenario, I've had different kinds of issues with it, but, I put this back together and it was okay. And then it's like, this time it was like, dude, it's just oil flying everywhere. I don't even want to look at it to know what's wrong with it. I don't even want to deal with it. And then when it comes to this, it's like, I have no message today. The people that count on you, you're almost not showing up. You're almost quitting the channel. It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy where, I'm not doing so well, so I'm kind of making it worse. Anyway, I know this is kind of like raw and maybe not the kind of thing that people want to see on YouTube. Everybody always wants to like have somebody encouraging them. Like people count on someone to just be like a sign, like an example, like some shining, I don't know. I mean, that's what people look to in Christ, right? They see this guy who doesn't quit, who continues for this cause higher than himself. And I know I should be doing that. And I just feel like sometimes I wish that I could just get like a little something to tell me that what I'm doing is the right thing. I think this car was kind of that for me. I was like, God, can you just let me win once in my life? Can I just have something work out? Not for free, not because I'm so cool or important, but just because I wish that once in my life that rubbing my fingers raw and working all day for something might get me somewhere, Because it kind of tells me, it's like, maybe I should just do nothing then. Right? Because it seems like every time I try to do anything, I fail. That must be that my plans are getting in the way of what God wants. Kind of simple wisdom. The reason the car isn't fixed is because it's not what God wanted for me to do. So when I put it back together and it was like, and like oil blows up everywhere, it's like, well, I guess that's what God wants. And that's kind of how I feel about this morning too. I come here every Sunday with the right attitude, and I say, God, make a message for yourself. Glorify yourself with this experience so that this can be good, And every morning I'm willing, and today it's just like, God, I'm sorry, I don't have it in me. I just don't. It's like this morning is like, I don't know, man. Just feels kind of embarrassing too, Everybody expects their like leaders or whatever to be like more polished, I guess. More intact. I wish I was giving you guys a positive message. That, like I mentioned it, I'll put it back in the chat for you guys who are here this morning. Just in case you want to maybe go listen to something positive. Season 1 of this was really solid. I had a day like this, and it was nowhere near as bad, really, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to just focus on persevering and stuff, and it's just like, I tried listening to that message, and it just made me mad. Like, it was just like, I don't care, bro. I don't want to persevere. I want results. I know, growth is a result. I've grown a lot. I mean, I'd probably, as a younger man, just like rage quit. And I have a tendency to kind of self-sabotage, like, oh no, things are going sideways. I'll just make an even bigger mess. And you don't want to be doing that. But at the same time, it just feels like, man, what's the point? I don't ask for much. I don't want to be rich or famous or whatever. I just want to have victory in the little opportunities that I have to try. It's not like I'm asking for something for free. I've spent so much time and effort. And I know I'm not a genius, but I'm capable of this, right? Like, I can put in the work. I can see something through to the end. I know it. That's not the lesson I want to learn. I want to learn that if you do work hard and you do persevere, that you can achieve things, that you can get somewhere in life. And unfortunately, it just feels like this latest trial in my life has really run me ragged. And I've spent so much time and energy working on this car, trying to get past that so that I could take on the next challenge. So I could devote more time to the channel, so I could have money to build an office, so I can continue to grow in the ways I feel like are really important. The car thing is stupid. It doesn't mean anything. I have had, I've had good things and bad things in life, and I don't make my life be about my circumstance, but I also kind of feel like, you're in the trenches, you're constantly fighting, and I'm like, God, can I just have something? And he says no, and like, what are you supposed to do about that, man? How are we supposed to handle tribulations when there isn't a clear message to take from them? Like, not a message I need to learn. Sometimes God's plans are different than yours. Okay. Groundbreaking, like I didn't know that already. It just seems like I feel like sometimes it's like, why am I being punished, dude? I already know this stuff. The only reason I even took on the car is because I'm like, I'm approaching this differently. This is not something that I'm trying to do to make myself glorious. This isn't something I'm trying to do to make myself cool. I just thought maybe because all the stars aligned for this to go this far, that maybe it was your will that I could just have a little something for me, since all I ever do is for everybody else and everything else. And my life is always the back burner. I'm always trying to do stuff for other people. And then here's this opportunity for me to just get a little something out of it. And instead, it's a burden. It's a snake. It's a stone. And now I'm kind of to this point where I just don't even want to. It's like a poison now. Wow, with how much problems this car and this channel and all this stuff I'm trying to do the right thing, and it's just making things worse for me. It's like my buddy, he's actually a member of this community, and before he was saved, it was like, dude, as soon as you get saved, life just gets harder. It doesn't get easier. Like, that's not the lesson, right? That you want to tell people when they come to faith in the Lord. Like, as soon as you start this new journey in life, it's actually going to be much harder, and you'll have less friends, and nothing you ever want to do will work out, because unless it's exactly God's will, you will be destroyed. It's like, man, I could see the call, the desire to be an atheist and tune it all out, because it's really annoying. Really annoying. But I mean, I persevere. Here I am. And maybe not in the best attitude, and maybe not in the most positive way, and maybe not even, I don't know. I guess this morning is kind of like just somebody in chat said it earlier. It's like, I'm not here because you guys need me today. I'm here because I need you guys. I'm just a man, And, maybe I just made a mistake in thinking that certain things were meant for me. Like, maybe I'm not supposed to have a cool car. Maybe I'm not supposed to have a normal car because my daily driver's transmission's breaking and I'm about to have no way to work. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So it gets annoying, you pray for stuff and then you don't get what you ask for, and I get it. There's a means to that. There's a reason for that. But then it's like, man, what's the point then? I should just sit back and wait for God to do what he wants to do then, Maybe that's how it works. Like, when you truly resign yourself to not have any cares about what you want at all, maybe then the Lord will give you stuff. But for me, it's always just been like, I don't know. If you don't desire for something, how is it a reward if you receive it? It's just a happenstance, I just keep wanting to convince myself and other people that that's not how it works. That God really is victorious, and that he can do anything, and even that the simplest things are nothing to him, and he can manifest food and cars and house with nothing, and that, you know what I mean? You want to tell people that it's like that radical thing that, once you turn around your life for Christ, everything will get better and la la la. It's like, I feel like it'd be easier to get people that way. And for me, it just feels like the reward is the opportunity to do things for other people. Maybe if I'd spent the last few weeks working so hard on someone else's car, my life would be different right now. I don't know. I'm not here because I'm a pastor or a teacher or a leader. I don't come here for Sunday service because I think I'm so eloquent or well-spoken, or that I need to be the big shining example to everybody about what a resolved life looks like. I mean, I come here because it's what I can do. It's what I've got. is what little I have to spare. And you know, I know it should be the priority of my life. That's why I'm here, dude. I could have just not showed up. But I just feel like, you know, the buck stops with us, you know. You know, it's like if I just stayed in bed all day, that'd be 2 days I stayed in bed all day or whatever. You know what I mean? We can't always do everything right. We don't always make the right choices. We don't always spend our time and energy on the right things. And as somebody who's been really sorry for doing the wrong thing so much in my life, it's just really disappointing to have done it again. That's all. And you know it too. You're like, man, I put so much energy into this thing. Now it's like a curse. I got to get out of it. I got to get it done. It has to work, God, please. I got no more energy left. I don't have any more money for parts. I don't have any more time. My back hurts, man. I really don't. The other car's broken. Please, I need a car to get to work. Can I just please get this done? Can I please make it work? And it just doesn't work, man. You know, and I know the lesson, the reality of it is, it's like, well, that probably wasn't what God wanted you to do with your time the last few weeks. That isn't probably what God wanted from you, et cetera, et cetera. And you know that's the lesson, but, you know, when you're really upset, you just don't really want that. Like, I'm sure you guys can relate. Like, people telling you, hey, it's going to be all right, you know. Just, you know, give it a day or two, take a break, come back and hit it again. You can do this. Like, yeah, that's probably true. Like, you probably come back in a few days and pop the hood again and start cleaning the oil that's all over everything. You know, we could probably get this fixed, right? It'll be all right, dude. Eventually there'll be a viable transportation, and it might even be cool. You never know. But I guess maybe the lesson is, like, you can't let your attitude and your output be based on the things that are happening outside, and the things in your life that affect you negatively or positively. Can't be allowed to change who you are and what you do. And I'll tell you, this is the first time in life I've shown up anyway. Every other time in my life when things went sideways and didn't go the way I wanted them to go, I was mad. I hit the quit button. You know, and I had a post drafted that was like, no Sunday service, considering an indefinite channel hiatus, because it's just like, what's the point, man? I don't even know what I'm doing. You know, I usually record my Guys Gotta Eat videos on Sunday so that I don't have to do it Monday after work if I can. Sometimes I do it on Monday, but I was thinking about it, like, dude, what am I gonna go? I'm having such a bad day. I'm going to burn Sunday service, threaten to destroy the channel, and then go eat food and review it. Like, what's up, guys? I'm so stoked to eat. It's tough, dude. It's tough to balance it, because deep down inside, I am a positive person. I am a hopeful person. I want things to work out. I know that God is a God of victory. I know that in the end, he wins and that his people win. And I want that to be the example. I want to be able to show people my life and say, yeah, I got this thing, and there's no way I should have been able to pull this off. It was God that did it. And then when it doesn't work out, I'm not mad that I don't have a cool car. I'm mad that God didn't use it as an example to show how cool he is to everyone I come in contact with. It's like, if my ministry is good for 100 people on a Sunday, and like, that's good, I should be blessed, but it's not like I can really reach anyone in that way. I'm looking at other things. I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, well, maybe YouTube won't do it, but maybe if I have this car that I can tell a story with, or maybe if I have a testimony, then I could share with people. But it just kind of seems like I'm trying to logical something that's not logical. I'm trying to mechanic something that's not mechanical. You know, so maybe that's the lesson. This whole thing's spiritual, and the answer to it is not mechanical, even though I'm so mechanical. Like, I want to just say, well, if we just turn this thing, that should realign the connection. And it's just not like that. It's not that simple. And again, I'm not like the big teacher. Even if I went to seminary school, I don't think it would help. I just mean that it's just part of my experience, I guess, to be reaffirmed about what I know is true logically, and then try to figure out how to deal with it emotionally. Like, I guess that's the message for today, is that the truth about who God is and everything hasn't changed, but we have to figure out how to continue anyway, how to have a life of meaning and value when, it seems like that's impossible. Now, outside of the material stuff and the career stuff and all the stuff of the world that fails you, you look for God to do things then. Because it's like, dude, I don't have the means to fix this car or the way to reach people via my tiny channel. So you give it to God, and then that's where it comes from. Like, that's where the real defeat feeling comes from, is that, like, you gave it up to God and he didn't do anything with it. At least not in your timing. Sometimes time is of the essence. That's the issue, right? You need God to act now, not later. It's not like I'm dying or that my life is over. I'm just freaking frustrated, man. You just want to win sometimes. You want to be on the victory side of things for once in your life, man. We all have our ups and downs, but I just feel like, what's next, Where do you go from there? It almost feels like insanity. Like, you just keep doing the same thing and getting the same results, and it just seems like, okay, well, what do I do different then? I thought this was the alternative. Like, I really thought that that giving up all that crap and trying to do this kind of stuff would make things better, but it's kind of just the same. It's like the danger of the temptation of sin is that it's like, well, you could try to live righteously and you'll still be poor and you'll still, be a failure. Or you could live selfishly, and sometimes you win doing that. So I see why it's tempting. I'm surrounded by all kinds of people who my life situation is nothing to them. Like, they just snap their fingers and every problem I have would disappear in like 24 hours. And I know it will pass. But it's still frustrating to be stuck in it. What am I supposed to do? Like, keep buying more valve cover gaskets and stuff. Like, I could not express to you in a calm conversation how frustrating the whole thing has been. Like, I should never have even bought that car. I should never even put all that time in, And then you feel like you regret all of that missed opportunity. I could have made videos. I could have done better Sunday services. I could have done so much more with all the time I spent rolling around in the dirt that didn't teach me anything or get me anywhere. I mean, maybe it taught me not to waste my time on such things. Just don't want to accept that, man. I don't want to accept that God wants us all poor. That seems so dumb. God will not allow you even the smallest modicum of happiness because it's here on earth, right? I'm learning. I'm learning to be content with nothing. I just don't like it. I want us to be people that have golden streets and blimps and stuff, I guess I just have this weird idea of how it's going to be, and it's probably just wrong. Anyway, Adrian's right, It's okay to be sad for a moment, but never lose gratitude. I mean, at the end of the day, this is an amazing community here, and I have a lot of support. And I am really grateful for all that. I hope you don't feel that I'm taking you guys for granted. It's just that outside of this little space that we have, I am under a lot of stress and trouble trying to get my regular stupid world life to work, which doesn't. And Yeah, it's just rough stuff. I don't even know. I just came here to complain for an hour. I can't even believe you guys are listening. But yeah, anyway, I'm probably not going to keep the stream up. I'll probably delete it just because it's like there's no real point to just have a big negative diatribe for an hour. But I will say that I am grateful for the fact that you guys are here and that you guys are praying for me and stuff. And I know that will help. And I just need to reevaluate what's important and what I spend my time on and try to break the cycle of negativity that has overcome me in the last 24 hours or whatever it is. And, yeah, just tough to know what you're supposed to do. Because I used to do all kinds of selfish, horrible things, and I really didn't have any trouble at all. My life was perfectly fine. The only reason I even resolved myself to follow God is because I knew I wasn't living right. It wasn't like I was having a hard time. I was actually getting away with all kinds of stuff. And now I'm like, God, I want to serve you, and it just is really hard. Sucks, man. Yeah. But we persevere. We continue. That's why I recommend season 1, episode 6, because it is a really positive message. And if you're ever available to hear something like that, if your heart is open to hear something like that and to soak it up and to be like, hey, that's the truth, and then you'd like be able to go along. You know what I'm saying? Anyway. I think that the purpose of Sunday service is to make myself available to God for whatever it is that he has to put in my heart and on my mind. Like I always say, I come here to ruminate on the things he's put in my heart and on my mind. And today, what the Lord has put in my heart and on my mind is like a really strong, I take it negatively because maybe I'm immature or whatever, but it's kind of like a reminder that my life is not about cars or about fixing things or about reaching people or about getting channel views or about whatever it is. That's not what my life is about. That God has a plan for my life, and it's probably different than what I think. And unless I have a really humbled, contrite spirit, I can't do what he wants me to do. And I have to really actually be over it. You know what I mean? Like, I just actually have to be over it for real. Not just saying or logically thinking that it's just a car, it doesn't matter. I actually have to not care if I'm ever going to have anything like that of value in my life. I think that's the reality of the situation. God won't compete with stuff for our attention. And this might not have been the most glorifying, wonderful Sunday service, but I'm here, so I drug my butt to work this morning. That's all I got, Father God, today is not my day. Last night was not my night. I'm unrested, I'm exhausted, I'm defeated, I'm disappointed. And God, I often feel that you aren't listening to me. Because I don't ask for the world to be delivered on a platter. I don't ask for you to make my path into a slide that drops me off where I want to be. I've never taken for granted the work or the steps that I have to take to get from one place to the next. I've never been the kind of person who says that the destination is more important than the journey. I've always believed in the value of the trip and the sights along the way. But God, today I'm just not feeling it. I feel like I ask you for things and you don't respond because you have a plan that's bigger than mine. I know. But I guess I just ask if you could tell me what you want me to do so that I stop wasting time doing the wrong thing. I don't want to be the guy that chases after stupid stuff. I thought it would be easy. That was my mistake. I thought that it would be simple, that I was equipped with the skills needed to accomplish one thing and to move on to the next. And obviously it's a bigger challenge than I ever thought. I just don't want to be doing the wrong thing, God. I don't want to do a good thing instead of the right thing. I'm grateful for this audience, God. And I just want to lift them up to you this morning. I know that I'm not always the right guy for the job, but here I am. And this crowd of people have come to this place to ruminate with me on the things that you put in our hearts and in our minds, and to help us to continue to grow and change, to become those good and faithful servants that you've called us to be. This is a project with that purpose in mind. That's why I'm here on Sunday morning. And God, I just want these people to have something positive to take with them today as they go. You know, I probably won't leave this video up. I'm not proud of it per se. But God, I know that sometimes it's necessary that we just are who we are, that we feel what we feel. And I know you understand what we're going through. You understand what I'm going through. There's something I need to learn that hasn't quite sunk in yet, God. And I'm sorry that I've been such a bad student, that you feel the need to drag me through the mud to get me to wake up to whatever it is I need to learn. I wish I knew the answer already. I wish I knew the right thing to do already, so that I'd just do it instead of everything wrong. I want you to bless all these people, God. I really do. If there's anything I can ask you for today, it's not for me or for my car or for my life or my lessons. I'll get over it. But I know that there are people out there that need leaders, and people that need teachers, and people that need people that love you and that don't quit. So I'm grateful that you at least got me here this morning. And God, I just pray that you would lift these people up, that they would be elevated, that they would feel your peace and your joy and your motivation. If it's not for me, I hope for them that you would show them the path that you want them to take, that you would show them the right time and the right thing to spend their energy on to produce the product that you want, the result that you want. Because when we try to do things for ourselves, it never works out, evidently. As it stands, this is probably like the worst Sunday service has ever been, God, but you've been here with me through thick and thin. You've seen me at my best, you've seen me at my worst, and I really have nothing to hide. This is just the raw experience, right? But I'm grateful, God, for it. I'm grateful that it's this instead of the mindless continuance of darkness. Yeah, now it sucks. We're at war. We know it. But at least now we know. We don't just wander around in darkness. God, I pray that you would lift us all up and that you would build us up for this next week. Help me break this cycle of negative emotions and defeat, and help me to experience victory, God. Help me to experience victory for your sake, so that I can be proven wrong in my foolishness and my negativity, so that I can be shown that just because things look hard and difficult and they're not fun, that it doesn't mean that there isn't some great reward awaiting us on the other side. You know, the best things in life are worth working for. I know that's true. I love you, God. I'm sorry about my shortcomings. Sorry about the mistakes that I make. I'm sorry if there are parts of me that prevent you from giving me things that would make me happy. Some underlying corruption or whatever it is, God. Just take it. That's all I say. I don't want to hold on to bad feelings, bad negativity, or even just holding on to dreams and aspirations that don't give you glory and don't actually make things better. I don't know. I don't know what the pinpoint destiny looks like. I don't know what exactly you have planned for me, God, but I just say that whatever your plan is, let it be done. Whatever your will is, let it be done for myself, for this crowd of people, for whatever purpose that you have for our lives. God, I know I'm a results-driven person, but sometimes the result doesn't come until the very, very end, and so I just ask that you would set everything straight. You would get us onto the right path. You would get me going in the right direction so that I do not get disappointed and defeated by things that aren't of any real value. You are a good King. You made us all for a reason, and I pray that that reason would be manifested here. That this crowd, these people would know you and would feel the impact of your work in their life for the positive, good reasons that you have intended to prosper us and never to harm us, right? To give us hope and a future. I know that's who you are. I know that's what you plan. So despite the defeat, I shall persevere because I know that you never stop persevering for us, God. And even though I don't feel it today, I'm not having a good one, God. I know that you love me and that you forgive me and that many more good days are set ahead for myself and for everybody. I pray that your will would be done, God, in this world, on earth, just as it is in heaven, in your holy name. Amen. Guys, I'm sorry. This was such a rough, hardcore message this morning. Super raw, not church appropriate. I feel a little bit better. Sometimes it just feels nice to get things off your chest. And yeah, this is kind of like probably the worst Sunday service we've ever done, but we'll be back next week for another one. We'll hopefully get it back on track by then. If you feel that this message resonated with you, then I humbly ask that you would like and subscribe to the channel. You've been listening to the Sunday service made possible by the Cult of Con. I am Con. Thank you all for being here. We will see you all next week. God bless you guys. Take care.